Hey, what's up everybody? Eric Solobox. Today I'm out in the factory producing the first full set of boxes since having moved here. Now I did lose something in the move. I lost one of my pocket jigs, which is, if you're unfamiliar, it's one of these. See, this jig here has a pocket, and what happens is these are used for layout. Basically, you slide a piece of aluminum down in there, and then you're able to scribe a line across that piece of aluminum, kind of like this. See these lines where they're laid out? These are all done with a pocket jig. This one here, this line, is the jig that is missing, and it's actually the most used one. This aluminum, one thing about building these jigs is that they do wear, because you're running basically a piece of steel up against a piece of aluminum. And so that particular pocket jig, this distance here is used on lids, end caps, and bodies. So it's used on all three pieces. And so it's actually the most used one, which means it's also the one that wears the most. So if I was gonna lose one, that would be the one to lose, because it actually probably needed to be replaced anyway. You don't tend to end up running the scribe towards the ends, and you can tell as they wear because it'll kind of bow a little bit in the middle, because that's where it's getting used the most. Like sometimes you're only scribing this distance here, you're not scribing the full length, and so it tends to wear more in the center than at the sides. And so that being the pocket jig that got used the most, it was probably also the one that needed to be replaced the most. So that's what I've got going on over here, is I'm building a new one. What I did to assure that the pieces are parallel running all the way down it, is I built a couple of these little spacers, which started out from the same piece of aluminum, and I just cut it in half so it's the same at both ends, or at least ought to be within, you know, a few thousandths or so. So anyway, if you look at how these are built, it's actually 3 layers to create the pocket. This is going to be the center layer. I forget what these kind of welds are called, but I drill a bunch of holes and then I filled them with aluminum to get them attached together. Then I'll run a flapper disc over this to knock it down flat again, and then sandwich that third piece on the same way by drilling holes and welding through it. So what else is going on? You know, I put this clamp here because I was having a hard time with the shear. As I would cut metal, it would basically push back on it a little bit. It's amazing how, you know, I'll run the same piece of equipment. I've been running this shear for, I don't know, 2 years now. And I still, little subtleties that you notice, you know, little things just kind of change, and you start to learn more about the tool. So basically what I started to notice was that this was kicking a little bit at the bottom, and that was as it was pushing down. This is supposed to hold the aluminum from moving. I added this to try to help it to do its job, but I started to notice that it was flexing a bit. Added a couple of more washers to it, and as I was adding the washers, I realized around back, there's actually a set screw that's meant to work with these, because if you over tighten this, it can't do its job. This needs to be able to, you can see it needs to be able to slide up and down in that pocket. And so if it's too tight up against it, it's unable to do its job at all. If it's too loose, then it's going to kick back and forth, which is what I was trying to fix by putting this clamp on here. What I learned today is that this is a set screw, and there's another one over here. And so basically you set the tension where you want it here, so it's got that little bit of, you know, so it can't kick and it can't flex too much, but it still has to be able to go up and down. So you get it set just right, and then you set the set screw. Never noticed it before. Anyway, I'm getting better cuts now as a direct result. I'll probably continue to use the clamp anyway, just in case, because you want everything you do at this tool to be square. Sorta isn't square. So as I learned from, check this guy out. I used this tool for years and years. This square isn't. I replaced it with this blue aluminum one. They are not the same. Actually, it looks like the outside of it's not too bad. Well, make a liar out of me then. I know at some point when I replaced this, I had finally figured out, or maybe it was on the inside corner. Yeah, that's where it is. On the inside corner right here, there's just the slightest little bit of a gap. It's a framer square. It's not perfectly square. This blue one was about twice the money, and it is actually completely square. So, sort of doesn't cut it. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to work. I'm gonna finish this up. I just finished cutting up all of the parts that I need to build this batch. All of this stuff. You can see here, what am I building here? I'm building 7 sets of side cases and 6 top boxes. That's a pretty good sized batch for me. There's 6 top box bodies, 14 bodies for side cases, all the lids, the end caps, everything is there. So I just finished using this tool. Everything's all cut out from the batch. Now I need to roll over into layout, and I can't complete the layout without fixing this, building this jig. So I'm gonna get back to work on finishing this up. I guess that's about it. Eric, Solobox, ride safe, everybody.